Okay, from Prickly Acres, what you're looking at is at the end of Blueberry Way, or Blueberry Aisle, is our gate number 2. And we have been fencing, started over near the house, and have been worked all the way over here to this second gate. That's where we've stopped for the time being. But we wanted to give a little update on where we were. So we've decided to go all along the perimeter of the orchard. Right behind it is the material zone where we dump all our raw materials, and there's a lot of debris there in the pit that we're turning into a gigantic hugelkultur. But anyway, this is the fence that we have been working on all summer, and it is made of primarily of T-post and a plastic mesh, very heavy duty, highly tensile strength plastic mesh. There are 3 wires, one on the bottom, one in the middle, and one on the top, that the mesh is attached to with zip ties. Vlad and I pounded all these T-posts in. I think it's going to be around 50 total by the time all's said and done. But now what you're seeing is the completed fence up through to the orchard.
Way more than 50.
Yeah, way more than 50 posts. And if you go backwards, you can see that's the end of Blueberry Aisle. And then as you pan this way, going down back Blueberry Aisle takes you back towards the house. And that's the orchard, the little bit of the orchard that we've started. And it is temporarily fenced in to protect the young fruit trees that we planted there last fall. And it's been working. That'll come down once the fence is all completed. But this is the second gate at the end of Blueberry Aisle, and right now we're planning on continuing the fence behind the compost area, but we've had second thoughts about it, so we're still discussing whether we're gonna modify that plan or not. But anyway, we're very happy that we've gotten this much done, and we've been seeing deer active in behind the fence. So they are noticing that the fence is there and are bumping into it. They're not trying to jump it. This is a green arborvitae. That's number 1 of about 7, I think, that are going to be planted. I've got them marked with sticks where we're going to plant them. So they'll eventually be this big green border that will also be a deterrent, but also hide the fence and the work zone area from the house, because I didn't want to visually see that big giant blue tarp and those piles of stuff when we're sitting out on the deck from the house. So that's number 1, and it's doing very well so far. These grow about 2 feet per year, so they're very fast growers. But we hope, with any luck, we can get the others we can get more planted this fall when it cools down a little bit. So now what we're coming up to is we call this gate number 1, and it will lead down to our beloved glen, which is one of our favorite parts of the forest. And that path right there, that forest path, goes into the glen. But it will lead right up into where this gate opening is. And obviously there's not a gate there, so we have to start our design process for what that gate's going to be like. It'll be some kind of mesh, probably PVC pipe contraption. Doesn't need to be heavy duty. We're not going to be having any heavy duty equipment coming through here. And this is where the fence picks up again, and this borders the green path that wraps all around back towards the house. And it goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And this is where we see a lot of deer coming up. They have been walking the green path, and now that the fence is there, they are walking behind the fence. And what we see them doing, as long as you don't frighten them, they just continue along here behind the fence, and then they exit and they go right down the glen path, which is where we want them to go. Over here is our nursery that we also put up a temporary fencing It's a much lighter duty fencing material. You can barely see it. It's very, very light duty. And of course, it's only 4 feet using 4-foot poles. But they're not going in there.
That's 6-foot poles.
6-foot poles. But they're not going in there. And since we put that up, they haven't been able to eat anything, or they haven't tried to. And things are growing much better. Like, evidence is that hosta right there that was just eaten to a nub. Now it's grown back.
That came back so
It really did.
nice.
But this is just where we're storing plants that we can't plant yet. And they were getting munched on by the deer. So we put this very temporary, it's a really, really, really not, I mean, you could break this really easy. So it's not going to last. But we put these pink ribbons here to try to discourage the deer.
Show a little cactus collection.
And then Vlad's got his little agave collection. Now the deer are not bothering those at all. Although we have seen them poking at a puntia up on the rocky slope, but they basically are just being destructive. They're not eating it, but they're not bothering these agaves because they can't munch them. One thing I am worried about is that come wintertime, when there's not much to eat in the forest, whether they'll plow through this or not. We'll see. But those are just plants that we hope to bring into our garden eventually when we've got the fence completed. Way in the back there, you see some spiny looking azaleas that we rescued from our forest that are recovering nicely. They've got a way to get healthy again, but we pulled them out of the forest and they were quite mature and big. So we feel like we saved them. And these are our peanut butter trees. These are seedlings that I planted, and they're really taken off. So I hope I can save those because several of the trees have died. That's just some brush. Working on this fence was really hard because it was just this thickets and thickets and thickets and thickets of briars, of all kinds of different briars. It was really tough to clean. And, we have to remember that we have to allow some wild parts. So this isn't going to be landscaped. But we need a little bit of room to be able to maintain the fence. But one thing we are seeing is that the deer actually kind of like walking the paths that we clear.
Surprise.
Yeah, but all this will grow back. This will grow back next. It's going to be a never-ending fight to keep the forest at bay there, especially with the vines. So we'll have to just do maintenance behind the fence so that nothing. And I haven't had time to go back and clip all the zip ties yet, but you can see how the mesh is zip tied to the T-post. And you can see little zip ties on the wires. But if you take a closer look at this is really heavy duty stuff. We've actually seen it in action. We had a mother deer that was here in the green path. We came home, we frightened her. And yep, she jumped it, didn't she?
She went ballistic.
She went ballistic and she jumped
through it.
So they can jump it.
No, she did not. They didn't jump over it. They jumped through it.
They jumped through it.
Yep.
How'd they jump through it?
Well, so they popped a couple of those things off.
Mm-hmm.
And they popped a couple of those things off. And I'm guessing she went like this.
Oh, through that middle one. Yeah. I'm sure it wasn't comfortable, and I'm sure it's something she doesn't want to continue doing.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be it'll be a deterrent. But the point is, and people warned us about that, if you frighten them, they will jump anything. No matter if
they'll plow through it.
They'll plow through it. No matter if it's an electric fence or you've got a 4-foot stone wall there that you think is going to, when they're not scared, they won't bother you. But if you scare them, then they'll be destructive. Now we've seen some babies behind here, just sort of kind of confused, walking back and forth along the fence barrier. We have a hunter coming in mid-September when bow season starts. So we're hoping he will also put some pressure on the deer and encourage them. See how that vine is already falling towards the fence?
Yeah.
We'll need to cut that. But we're hoping he'll put some pressure. Now, what we don't know about this fence, what happens when all these leaves come down? And are they going to get trapped in the fence? No. So we still have lots of things undetermined about how maintenance on this fence is going to go. But we do think it's acting as a deterrent, and they are staying behind it. And as we move it around the property, hopefully they'll begin to just get the idea that they just need to stay in the forest and not come towards this property. Oh. But we saw, funny enough, we were having a little baby fire this weekend right in our chairs over there in the distance, and this was last night, and we looked behind us, and there was a baby deer sleeping out in the field. Or it was a mid-sized deer just
baby deer.
That's it. It was a baby deer. I couldn't see the spots myself.
Still the spots and everything.
Yeah, just sleeping out there, minding his own business. So it's towards the end of the evening here at Prickly. It's beautiful light right now. We wanted to give you an idea. I guess I'll just walk around and show you how far the fence still goes. I'm still working on my stone wall. I got a bunch of stones today. Hauled them out of the glen. Gradually replacing these logs. So I want to bring that stone wall that I'm building all the way around as a border.
Look at a beautiful fence though.
But see, there's the fence. It's continuing on. It's a big giant azalea. Here goes the fence. Still going. Still going. It's still going. This area right here is where we've seen about 5 deer just hanging out right here. So they live somewhere back there, and they come up, and now they're bumping up against the fence, and they're a bit confused. So you keep going and going and going, going and going and going, and if you see that limelight, that bush with the big giant fluorescences on it, that's where it ends. And right at that point, we're going to have a wooden fence that's going to start there, and it's going to go all the way across the driveway with a gate and continue up till it links to Vlad's future barn, which is up there somewhere. So we'll have a wooden fence to sort of frame the entrance of the property.
Show the garden a little bit to see what we're trying to protect.
And this is what we're trying to protect. We've had a lot of losses with
Oh, hold on. Pan left. Show that big ass lizard.
Oh.
Down there. Is that cool?
Yeah. He lives there. We see him all the time.
No, I think the one that we see all the time is way bigger than that. It's like 4 times bigger than that.
So I don't have these caged. So most likely these could be gone by next weekend.
But they have been holding for 2 years.
They've been holding, but no, this is just the first year that they've actually been in there. But they're eating the monkey grass. So as soon as they take a little nibble, because Solomon seal is one of deer's favorite food. So why they haven't chewed it yet, I don't know. We just got lucky. But I took the nets off, the cages off to mulch this bed, and I haven't had a chance to put them back on. Caging is a real pain. It's just a super, super pain. We've got things caged. Anything that's caged, though, is actually surviving and thriving. So I wish we could keep it up, but we figured it's about $30 a cage when you get the right size cage. So that's expensive if you want to put something behind every plant. But we're protecting things like our paper bushes and any bushes we're definitely protecting, because we know they eat all the new growth that comes out. And anything they don't things are not bothering, we don't cage. So we know they don't like the canas. They're not eating those. Although people tell us they'll eat anything as soon as winter comes along. So, but the garden will be going to sleep by then.
Exactly. Canas are not up in the winter, so.
Yeah, they're even eating a salvia. They're eating the flowers, but this one is such a strong grower that it's not suffering too much from. But those little camellias in the back that aren't caged will definitely be caged before winter, because they ate those to the bare sticks almost. We're very lucky that they came back, but a shrub won't survive if it's constantly being gnawed on. Oh, so this is over the drive. This is the wooden fence is still going to continue. It's got the wooden fence. It's going to be wooden fence here all along the gravel driveway. All along here, and then right where that T-post ends, that's where the wooden fence will end, because that's where that will be where the barn goes. And we're just going to, for the time being, until we have a barn, we're just going to continue with the plastic netting fence. It'll end there. So we have approximately, we'd say we're more than halfway through, but we've got 3 gates to build, and those are going to be time consuming. But these, doing the wire and the plastic, attaching that to these T-posts here, that shouldn't take so much time. Although we're considering changing the path of the fence to accommodate the compost area and getting in that more easy. But all this this is the beginning of the barn, so the wooden fence will end here, right here, and we'll have this plastic fence that'll just keep all the deer out from all of the, it's hard to see with the sun, but that's all of our garden sort of panning that we want to keep them out of. And of course we want to keep them out of the orchard. So the fence will continue here. Continue, continue, continue. This right here is going to be a gate. We're calling this little extension, which we just recently had put gravel on, and unfortunately they laid it way too thick. So whew, I've been doing some hard labor today moving stone to correct that situation. That was unfortunate. But we're calling this Vlad's Way, because here will be Vlad's barn, and over here will be Vlad's greenhouse, and then where that big pile of dirt is hopefully going to be a future vegetable garden. Bigger, bolder, better, stronger.
Faster.
And what's our existing garden, which is by the house there, which is rapidly losing sunlight, is going to be a cutting garden, flower garden. So fence all along here. We don't have the post up yet. We have to pound more post, and then it'll eventually join up here somewhere, either on this corner somewhere. And these are our compost bins that are working awesome. We love them. And that's why we're thinking about changing our plan, because we use these every single day we're here, and we need to get in and out of them very easily. And if we put a fence here, we could be locking ourselves in.
Explain the three bin compost system.
So Vlad wants me to explain the bin system. This is where everything starts and gets thrown in here. All the raw goods, all the food scraps get thrown in here, and chips and grass clippings and some weeds, and gets stirred up, and as soon as it disintegrates into a more reasonable state of disintegration, we'll move it to bin 2, where it will continue to sit for a while, and then it will eventually end up in bin number 3, which is completed compost, and that's ready to be used throughout the garden. But you're wondering, is it fall there? No, it's not fall. We just have had no rain, so leaves are just dropping like crazy. Got leaves everywhere. That's a big pile of stuff we got to burn, but we've been hesitant to burn because it's been so dry. We don't want to be irresponsible and start a forest fire somewhere. So hopefully we'll be able to burn soon, because it's piling up. And then if we continue walking this way, we're going to end the tour right where we started, which was on Blueberry Aisle, we call it, because it's lined with blueberry bushes. And this is the gate. Gate number 2. Blueberry, yep. Back to the house. And Vlad is very happy with the progress we've made. He loves his post. We have to dig 4 more of those in.
Or maybe 20, who knows?
All right, signing off from Prickly Acres. It's been a hot, hot weekend, but we're pleased with our progress.